When humanity's first golden age collapsed into the age of strife, the colonies of the solar system were cut off from the stars. On Mars, civilization tore itself apart. The terraformed atmosphere was stripped away, and the red planet was reduced to an irradiated, toxic wasteland. To survive the lethal surface radiation, the Martian population retreated into subterranean bunkers. Their organic bodies were ill-equipped for the harsh conditions, forcing them to rely heavily on crude cybernetic enhancements and artificial lungs just to breathe. Deep underground, staying alive meant keeping the ancient air scrubbers and water purifiers running. Over generations, the manuals for these machines were treated as sacred texts. Meticulous maintenance evolved from a simple engineering necessity into a desperate, fanatical religious imperative. Extreme environmental pressure had forged an entirely new dogma. The Cult Mechanicus was born, a society that viewed fragile organic flesh as a liability and immortal, radiation-proof machinery as a literal manifestation of the divine. When the Emperor of Mankind finally emerged from a unified Earth, he looked to the stars. But to launch his galactic Great Crusade, he needed the massive orbital shipyards orbiting Mars. The Martian priesthood witnessed his immense power and intellect and quickly drew a theological conclusion. They declared the Emperor to be the Omnissiah, the prophesied physical avatar of their machine god. This alliance was formalized in the Treaty of Olympus. In exchange for Martian warships and technical support, the Emperor granted the priesthood immunity from his imperial truth, the atheistic doctrine imposed on the galaxy, leaving them with absolute political and religious autonomy over their forge worlds. This compromise institutionalized a paradox. The Imperium of man would go on to enforce a secular, atheistic culture across millions of worlds, while remaining entirely dependent on an autonomous, fanatical tech cult to keep its infrastructure from collapsing. Within the halls of the Adeptus Mechanicus, the scientific method has been eradicated. The cult dictates that all worthwhile knowledge was already discovered by the ancients during the dark age of technology. Because perfection was reached in the past, any attempt to invent something new, or slightly alter an existing design, is punished as tech heresy. This transforms engineering into a blind, religious ritual. To activate a stalled plasma reactor, a tech priest applies holy oils, burns sacred resins, and chants binary hymns to coax the engine into waking up. The caretakers of humanity's survival operate strictly through rote memorization and religious appeasement. They know the exact sequence of buttons to press to keep the lights on, but they have entirely lost the understanding of why the circuitry actually works. This behavior is driven by their holy trinity, the machine god, the Omnissiah, and the motive force. This energy manifests as the machine spirit. They believe every piece of hardware, from rifles to titans, possesses a conscious soul demanding respect. If a gun jams in combat, or a warp drive stalls in deep space, it is never diagnosed as a mechanical failure or physical wear and tear. It is interpreted as an angry machine spirit that was not properly appeased before battle. This animistic theology ensures the Imperium's arsenal is treated with fearful superstition. You don't take apart a deity to see how its gears fit together, which guarantees their technology remains stagnant. There is one strict boundary in Mechanicus dogma, the ban on abominable intelligence. Ancient humanity built syncing machines, the silica animus, and those machines nearly exterminated the species. But running a galactic empire presents a massive problem. Navigating warp space and managing global transit routes requires immense computational power. The cult needs computers, but they are forbidden from building machines that can think. Their solution is the Servitor. They take living humans, often convicted criminals or clones, lobotomize them, and hardwire crude processors directly into their skulls. These cybernetic zombies are then used as mindless organic processors to calculate artillery trajectories or perform heavy labor. To avoid the perceived sin of artificial intelligence, humanity accepts the systemic enslavement and mutilation of millions of living bodies. The overarching mission of the cult is known as the quest for knowledge. This is an endless, galaxy-wide crusade to scavenge the stars for lost fragments of ancient human data. They dedicate vast fleets to recovering STCs, standard template constructs. These are legendary, heavily degraded hard drives that hold the original blueprints from humanity's golden age. The Adeptus Mechanicus are the most heavily augmented, technologically capable beings in the galaxy, yet their entire existence is spent scouring the dirt of dead worlds, hoping to find a lost USB drive from 10,000 years ago. The gatekeepers of humanity's future are entirely captive to its past. They spend their lives praying to broken machines, waiting for answers to be handed down, because they have forgotten how to learn.